friends, and welcome back to another writing vlog. If you're new, my name is Charlie. I'm currently working on a sci-fi romance novel that I'm calling Project Daydream. It's about an insomnia pandemic that is only treatable by a pill called deep sleep. This pill gives its users some unintended side effects, and one of those is dream jumping. It's got futuristic, dystopian, enemies to lovers, and dreamy vibes. Anyways, I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about why I want to write by hand and my predictions for the week. As an ADHDer, I get distracted pretty easily. I have 1,001 thoughts going on in my mind at any given time, and it's really easy to get off track with things, which kind of gets in the way of writing a book. In the past, I have tried writing things by hand, and sometimes when I am writing on my computer, I'll switch to writing by hand to work out a problem or to help me stay focused a little bit better, and I've always found it really helpful. I feel like writing by hand allows me to think through the problems in my story a little bit slower because I give myself a little bit more time and I write slower than I type. My ideas come out a little bit more fleshed out. The only disadvantages that I can think of is that it does start to hurt after a while. It also takes a longer time to write things out by hand, obviously. This can go in like the good and the bad slot. The other disadvantage of writing by hand is that I have to then transfer everything that I've written onto my computer, which takes a long time, but I have really messy handwriting and sometimes I can't always read what I've written. Let's talk a little bit about what I predict is gonna happen for this week. I do think that I will write a little bit more than I have in the previous weeks. I also think that the words that I'm writing will need less editing in draft 2, and I do think that I'll have more ideas for like future scenes. If you have never written by hand but would like to try, maybe now is like a good time to do that. So why don't you grab your notebooks? I'm gonna grab mine and we will get started on writing.
I've been away for a while. No one can change time. How could I gotta know where you're at. The mirrors don't talk back. Leave it blank. Caught on each side. Only reflections apart.
It's about 9 p.m. so I'm starting a lot later in the evening than I wanted to. I really wanted to get up this morning and do a full writing session before I had to jump onto work. I slept in, so that obviously didn't happen. And then I couldn't really jump right onto that after work because I had some other things to do. So I'm here now and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update about how yesterday's writing session went and what my plans are for this evening's writing session. So yesterday I struggled a lot more than I thought I was going to, and it was actually really surprising just how much I struggled. I felt like I am getting in my head about the words that I'm writing down. And I really found that I struggled to get beneath the surface level when it came to writing the descriptions and character dialogue in this scene that I'm working on and get the scene out in the way that I'm imagining it in my head. So I've been working on this really intense scene where my two MCs are sitting in a secluded cafe and they're talking about the experiences that they had in the dream world. Really, they're trying to recall the events that happened there because if you are new to dream jumping, you can't always recall specific details, and they're slowly starting to come to the realization that they're gonna have to go back. This is something that should terrify them, and they know that, but for some reason, that's just not translating in the words that I'm writing. But I also just struggled to get into the flow of the story, which is not something that I usually struggle with when I'm writing by hand. I actually usually find it easier. I think that this is probably something that's going to get easier down the line. Like once I've gotten more into the habit of writing every single day and I've had a little bit more time to practice, I'm just becoming hyper aware of just how out of practice that I actually am. And to be honest with you, even before I took the break, I was struggling with getting my words out. I feel like that's because even in the several years prior to me starting my YouTube channel, I wasn't writing as consistently as I probably should have been. It's actually been several years since I've been able to keep up with a writing routine where I was legitimately writing every single day. At that point, I could easily crack out like 1,000 words in a day without really thinking too much about it. But now it's like if I get to 300 words, I'm happy with that. Even though I'm not tracking word counts, I'm starting to feel a little bit discouraged. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But I know that this is something that's just gonna get better with practice, and I'm just gonna have to keep showing up every single day to make it work. And I think that I can do that. Actually, no, I know that I can do that. I just have to get out of my own way, and it's gonna just come down to me being more strict on myself about like sticking to my routine and making sure that I'm actually following along with my plan and just being a little bit more disciplined. Anyways, I kind of got way off track there for a second, but just to kind of loop back, me struggling now is just like really showing me that being consistent with writing can not only help you write more, but it can also help you write better. That being said, I feel like I have to have like an honest moment with you guys right now and tell you that I haven't been writing every single day. Even though that's something that I've been trying to do, it hasn't exactly happened. There have been times on those days where I don't write that I've thought to myself, oh, I'm not doing anything. I could definitely go to my computer or get out my notebook and just do some writing right now, and I just haven't. Now, I don't think that it's necessarily important to write every single day, but I do think that it's important to show up to your draft as often as possible when you can, especially if it's something that you want to improve on and if you want to make it a full-time thing like I do. I feel like if I were to stick to my current mode of being a mood writer, I will never finish my book, and that's just not in the cards for me. I need to finish this, otherwise I'm never gonna stop thinking about it and it's gonna drive me insane. And I do think that once I get into the habit of writing more and I'm being more consistent with that it will be a little bit easier for me to work through the problems that I'm having in my draft. Anyways, what about you guys? How do you find the motivation when the inspiration just isn't there? Drop your tips in the comments. I'm really interested to hear what you guys do in these situations and how you guys think about these kinds of things. That being said, I think tomorrow is going to be a fun day. I do work, but luckily I work from home, and so I can kind of jump out of the house for a little bit and go out to a coffee shop before work and just get some words in. And then I think I might write from the cafe just in the afternoon up until lunch before I come home. But as for right now, I am going to try to sneak in a writing session before I have to go to bed tonight. I do really want to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, but I haven't written anything today, and I think it'll be an important first step. Like, I'm not starting tomorrow, I'm starting right now, and I'm gonna just do it. So I'm gonna pull out my notebook, I'm gonna get my pen, and I'm gonna write the frickin' book.
I think I've blown it, I kinda know it. I'd say it's obvious you're fed up somehow. Been hesitating, pulling away when all that you're trying to do is ease my mind. Ooh, serves me right for being way up in my head and never let you inside. Ooh, fuck my life, I wanna try to make it better, but I don't know how. 'Cause now I'm thinking, oh my, what if you just let go of me? 'Cause I don't know if you want it or not. Thinking, oh my, what if you just let go of me? 'Cause I don't know if I'm what you want.
Good morning, friends. It's 7 a.m. I slept through my alarm this morning because I literally slept like garbage. My brain thought it would be super fun to hyperfixate on the scene that I was writing last night until like 2 a.m. So of course I barely got any sleep, but here I am. I did briefly consider getting up and just finishing the scene, but I knew I needed to sleep. Last night's writing session went a lot better than I expected it to. I managed to get down 2.5 full pages. I really think that it helped that I had been playing around with the idea of this scene pretty much all day. So I kind of already had like a strong idea of what I wanted the scene to be. When I went to go write it down, it was just a lot easier to get into it. Now I'm wondering if maybe I would benefit from doing some brainstorming sessions ahead of time, just so that like later down the line, if I'm ever feeling stuck like this again, I can go back and look at the ideas that I already have. But even with the smoother session, I still kind of feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I've just been hit really hard with imposter syndrome lately. Who am I really to think that I could write a book? I feel like I'm creative, but I don't really think my ideas are like super exciting or anything. I'm just like questioning a lot, like whether or not this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm questioning every word that I put down. And even though it did flow a little bit easier last night, I kind of already know that when I go back to reread this draft that it's gonna be awful and pretty much everything's gonna need to be redone. And I think that this is part of the reason why I've never actually finished a book, because I kind of always hit this wall and it feels like I'm climbing a mountain with no gear at all, and I have no idea how I'm gonna like get over the hard parts. I know that this isn't a unique feeling, but it's just like hitting me really hard right now, and I'm just starting to think about why has it been so difficult for me to actually finish a story. And I really think that this is the main reason why. The only way to like get over this feeling is to kind of push through, and I know that if I don't push through, that I'm just gonna keep repeating the same cycles that I have been in my previous projects. And to be honest with you, that kind of scares me more than the negative thoughts and the negative feelings that I have about my ability to write. Anyway, let's talk about the book and the writing session that I had last night, because that's way more interesting than crippling self-doubt. So I am working on this really exciting scene where my two MCs are actually in my male MC's apartment. And not only are they piecing together clues that they both have from what they experienced in the dream world, but they're also starting to get to know each other on a friendship level. I believe this scene in the book is going to be where their friendship really starts, which is going to eventually lead into like the romance subplot. There's going to be a key moment in this scene where my female MC opens up about something from her past to the male MC, and he is not going to react exactly how she was hoping that he would. This is kind of a moment that sets everything in motion, because she doesn't know that the reason he isn't reacting in the way that she wants him to is because he's keeping a secret from her. And in the end, the interactions that they have here in this scene are going to be what keeps them coming back to each other throughout the story. So I really need to be sure that I'm building a really strong foundation between the two of them. I'm planning on hitting up Starbucks on my lunch break for a writing session, because really the only way to finish this book is to keep on working on it. I know that probably every single writer has faced imposter syndrome, so tell me in the comments, how do you push through? Also, I'd love to hear how your writing process has changed over the years. Have you made any like significant changes? Like, have you gone from pantsing to plotting, or plotting to pantsing? Let's talk in the comments. I'll see you guys at lunch.
Can I just get a venti iced caramel latte?
Cause every poison word that's on your breath makes me hate the smell of cigarettes. Breathe, just breathe. They say that what you give is what you get, but I don't see how you could handle this stuff. Made up my mind now. Cause I know this world is beautiful, but you're making me so cynical. I don't see this working anymore. I'm just sitting here killing time. Yeah, I know this world is beautiful, but I barely see it anymore. Go ahead, watch me walking out the door. I'm letting you go this time.
So besides narrowly escaping the temptation to delete my entire project and starting from scratch, I managed to write another 3.5 pages in this afternoon's writing session. I am still not sure if any of this is actually going to make it into the final draft, but right now I'm feeling pretty good about the words that I wrote today. That being said, the scene did take an unexpected turn. Originally, I thought that my female MC was going to be opening up to my male MC, and it actually turns out that my male MC is going to be opening up to my female MC. And you know, maybe they'll both open up a little bit in ways, but Knowing my female MC, what I know of her right now, she's a little bit more guarded than he is, so I don't know if that's actually gonna happen or if I'm just like playing around with the ideas right now. Anyway, this is exactly why I love pantsing, because even though I'm the one writing this book, I'm still discovering it as I go, which is exactly what I would do if I were reading something that somebody else wrote. It keeps things really exciting, and it kind of motivates me to keep working on my whip. Even though I had a good writing session, I did struggle with a couple of things, particularly getting the dialogue right for my male MC. I had to figure out how he was gonna open up to my female MC in a way that worked with his character. As I was writing, I was just like thinking, oh, well, he wouldn't say it like that, or he wouldn't say these exact words. I had to rewrite it a few times in order for it to work, but in the end, I was able to kind of get something that I'm satisfied with, at least for now. My characters are definitely starting to feel more connected, and that's really all I can ask for at this point. Although I do think that if I had just gotten out of bed last night when I couldn't stop thinking about my whip and just gotten some words down and finished the scene, that I probably wouldn't have struggled as much as I did today. So I'm making a mental note to allow myself to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to things like that, and just get out of bed if I really feel the urge to write something for this project, even if it's just to jot down the idea really quickly and go back to sleep. That being said, I do wish that inspiration would wait until I'm in a more convenient place to write, instead of just keeping me up in the middle of the night. Speaking of inconvenient timing, where's the weirdest place that inspiration's ever struck you? For me, I would have to say probably the woods, but I guess that's not really a weird place for inspiration to strike. It's just really inconvenient. Now let's talk about the writing experiment and how that went. I ended up writing about 9.5 pages in total, which isn't that bad for 3 days. I think I probably could have done more if I was writing on my computer, but 9.5 pages is nothing to scoff at, especially since I was struggling for a good chunk of that time. The first day was by far the best and most productive day of the 3 days. After that, things really started to taper off. At the start of the experiment, I predicted a few things. First being that I'd be less distracted writing by hand. It turns out that that's just wasn't the case. I wasn't distracted by my phone like I usually am because I turned it on silent and I put it away, but I was distracted by the urge to stop writing by hand and start writing on my laptop. At the end of each session, I did go ahead and type up all of the words that I wrote onto my laptop and into my Scrivener document. And when I did that, I did allow myself to continue writing and edit some things and rearrange sentences just so that what I wrote flowed better. I also thought that writing by hand would lead to cleaner words that needed less editing, but that also was not the case. Some parts, of course, turned out better than others, but there were a lot of parts that I knew were gonna need to be reworked down the line. Sorry about the sirens. So one thing for my predictions that did happen was that I thought that I would end up with more ideas for future chapters. Now, I don't have anything set in stone or like a clear picture of what's gonna happen, but I do have some inklings of scenes that I know I'm gonna write. But the major thing that happened was that I came up with some conversations that my characters are gonna need to have in the future. I'm not exactly sure where they fit in yet, or like the order the conversations will need to happen in yet. I think that I'll probably discover that as I keep writing. I do have a few more quick takeaways that I learned from this experiment. First and foremost, I grip my pens way too hard. My hand hurt so badly throughout this experiment. I had hand cramps after the first day. It really affected my ability to write for a longer period of time, and I had to take multiple breaks. Secondly, I thought that transferring my written words into my Scrivener document would be a lot more annoying than it actually was. I actually really enjoyed the process of reading through what I wrote, putting it into the Scrivener document and editing it as I went. I feel like it made the process go a lot more smoother, and those words now are partially edited, so maybe I won't have to edit them as much down the line. And lastly, I definitely did not write more than I normally do. Probably less actually, and just because of the fact that it's a slower process. Overall, I am pretty glad that I went ahead and I did this experiment because I learned a lot about my writing process, and I have officially decided that moving forward, I'm gonna alternate between writing by hand and writing on my laptop. I'll probably start every session by writing by hand and then moving over to my laptop as I start to get in the flow of things. It's a really good warm-up or practice to have, in my opinion, and I think everybody should give it a try. If you are usually more of a laptop writer, try writing by hand for a day or two and see how you feel about it. It really helped me come up with more ideas and to just kind of sit with my story a little bit longer. It was definitely an interesting change of pace for sure. So what writing experiment should I try next? Let me know if you have any writing process that you'd like me to try, or if you want me to try another famous author's writing routine and who you want me to write like. I'd love to see what ideas you guys would like to see from me. But that about wraps it up. If you liked today's video, let me know by giving this video a like, leave a comment, and please, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!